Do you think it's the hat? This hat angers a lot of people. Hey everybody, welcome to Full House Outfitters NFL Playoff Edition. And today we'll be talking about my beloved new Bushmaster AR platform battle rifle in 308 7.62 by 51. The Mac Daddy of all battle rifles. The actual name of this rifle, Bushmaster calls it the Magpul Original Equipment Enhanced Optics Ready Carbine. And their internal nomenclature is XM10. The actual model number is 90990. And that's important. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. Anyway, by way of introduction, I caught wind. I've been looking for an AR in 308 for quite a while now. And as I mentioned in previous videos, they're pretty damn expensive, the good ones, you know, and it was just generally more than I wanted to spend on a rifle. Well, I caught wind of this one early 2014 at the SHOT Show, and it took me almost a year just to get a hold of one. And we'll go more into that in a minute too. But for the meantime, let's break down the gun and see what we're up against here. So-called MOE. It comes with a Magpul PRS, you know, 6-position stock. The Magpul MIAD or MIAD or however you want to pronounce that grip here with storage inside. The storage is pretty cavernous, not enormous, but there's enough room in here that I figure you could probably put you could probably sneak a bore snake up in there, you know, or something like that. Maybe a little bit of a field CLP or something like that. Or a battery or whatever you want to put in there. So those are the two Magpul components. The specs also indicate that it comes with a Magpul enhanced trigger guard. I don't know how enhanced or how high performance a trigger guard necessarily needs to be, but I couldn't find anything on this particular trigger guard that said Magpul, so I don't know if it is or it isn't. I just know it's not a big deal. What is a big deal, Troy Industries aluminum free float handguard with you know, full-length pick rail from one end to the other. And the Troy also comes with 3 other sections of rail that you can attach if you want to elsewhere on the handguard. And oh my goodness, it is super comfy to hold on to. Very, very nice piece of gear built by Troy. Optics ready carbine to start, which means it did not come with iron sights or anything else. So the very first thing we did was put on the Magpul flip-ups, both front and rear. And both of which are adjustable, which I really like. Now I had the choice between going with the Magpuls or the Troy Industries, and another one of my gun dealer friends talked me out of the Troys, citing the fact that the polymer Magpul backup iron sights, they're not really iron, do better in the cold climates because they're polymer. A lot of the aluminum type stuff, when it gets really cold, if you bang it, it will either potentially bend or break. So he talked me into the polymer. You'll notice I have the rear sight tucked under the bell of the borescope here. And even though you can't see it, the rear sight is fully adjustable for windage, and it has 2 apertures on it. It has both a larger, in other words, bigger hole for a close range aperture, and you can also go to a smaller hold, longer range aperture, you know, at your choice. Standard AR stuff on here. Safety is just where you would expect it, and obviously the you know, the bolt throw boom tab right there. Now if I flip it around, all right, same thing on the other side. You have your mag release, dust cover, forward assist. And it checks in, by all accounts, at about, I've heard varying weights thrown around, but it's about 8.5 pounds, which is pretty light, and that's what allowed me to put to mount this burst on top. Now you've seen this rig before. This is the MFI quick release riser on it. And what the riser does is it provides you another mounting surface such that with a conventional optic, your scope will clear the folded down Magpul backup sight. It's important and it works very, very well. About the only thing that I would point out about the MFI riser, you notice it has the two knobs here, front and rear. And then what you would normally do is attach a, your conventional, you don't need quick release rings on a quick release mount. Okay, we know that. So what I have here is I have Boris rings mounting this. And, but what I did notice, when you crank down the MFI riser, it cants ever so slightly to the right. All that means to you is when you go to install a scope on an MFI riser, all right, put your gun in, whatever vise you normally use. Put a level on here, level out the gun, okay, and then put the MFI mount on it, crank it down snug, don't level it, okay, and then mount the rings and level the scope. You want to level the scope to the gun, not to the riser. So like I said, the riser cants just a little bit, but after you permanently or semi-permanently attach that, then level out the scope to the gun and you're good to go. There is also a nice tasty muzzle brake up front, 16-inch barrel, 4150 steel, chrome lined. It is a happening rig. It's remarkably accurate, or at least it has been in my hands lately. And with the scope dialed in, you should be able to hit an enormous bag of croutons at 500 yards, no problem, particularly with hand loads in your own practice. It's a great gun. It's lightweight, super comfortable to handle, and if you're an AR fan, you're just going to love it because, well, it's in 308, and what's not to like about a 308? You've seen all my battle rifle videos. It's always has been, and I still believe it is the cartridge to beat as far as combat rifles go. All right, let's get into the bad news about this, okay? Remember I said the model number, 90990. I called Bushmaster mid-year looking for one of these. I had gone to every single distributor I do business with. That's about a dozen. And those dozen distributors had a combined 0 units for sale. I called Bushmaster and got one of the sales reps on the phone and said, hey, what gives? Why aren't you guys, when's the next production run going? Because I want to buy a few of these. And I was told in no uncertain terms, there are no further production plans for this rifle. And they wouldn't elaborate. I pushed this woman too. I said, what are you talking about? Come on. It's a beautiful gun. It just came out brand new for 2014. She said very flatly, we have no plans for additional production of this rifle. All right, let's get into why. This is just speculation on my part. But I think if you're familiar at all with Bushmaster, Bushmaster is under this umbrella called the Freedom Group, which is basically Remington, Marlin, and Bushmaster. And they're also owned by another capital company out west called Cerberus. Well, long story short, the Freedom Group, which owns Bushmaster, is in debt to the tune of about $1 billion. That's billion with a B. In fact, they're so bad off at this point that they actually had to borrow money just to pay dividends on the preferred stock for the existing shareholders. All right, these guys are in some bad shape financially. So I think the whole point was, let's try to unload existing inventory and not throw good money after bad. No reflection on the quality of this product or any of the other Bushmaster gear. I just don't think they're going to increase their inventory until they can unload and liquidate some of what they already have. And I get that. But what that means to me and you is these rifles are unbelievably hard to come by. So if you see one and you have an opportunity to get it for a decent price, I highly recommend it. MSRP on this is about $1,600 for your standard direct impingement AR. If you sneak around, you might be able to find new old stock for about $1,200. That's what I get this for. I get this for $1,200. And keep an eye out because Magpul, Bushmaster does make a series of AR 308s. They make quite a few of them, at least 4 or 5 that I can think of. But they're not configured like this. They have the, like a polymer forend and the traditional triangular front post that you'd find on a lot of ARs. But this was the one that had the Troy Industries rail on it that I really wanted badly. But like I said, they're tough to find, so keep your eye out for them. And if you come across one and the seller doesn't exactly know what they have, and they don't know that this unit is currently out of production, grab it. Like I said, they're superb, superb guns. Thus far, I haven't put a ton of rounds through it, but it's run flawlessly without a hiccup using standard, everyday new production. I don't run surplus ammo, but new production full metal jacket. Choose down everything, not a problem. But like I said, Bushmaster was also kind of the victim of the Newtown shooting, but because just luck of the draw, that happened to be the weapon that the shooter used in Connecticut. This particular brand. It could have been any brand. It just happened to be a Bushmaster. And you probably heard at this point that, I don't know, one of the family members is trying to sue Bushmaster. And the lawsuit's not going to go anywhere. By law, Bushmaster cannot be sued successfully just for production of an item. So we're not worried about that. But what it does is it tends to give the Bushmaster name a black eye, unnecessarily so. But I digress. The good news is it's a great gun, and I highly recommend it. And as mentioned, I topped this with my Burris 2-7x32 variable hunting scope with the bullet drop compensator on it. It's just so comfortable and wonderful to shoot. Easy to get a nice cheek weld with it, and it's the kind of thing that, given the choice between this and a 5.56 AR, I'm going to take this every day of the week. If you get a chance to shoot one, I highly recommend it. So anyway, that's it. I'm not going to belabor the point because you guys are familiar with AR-15s and you know how they work. But know that this is a very lightweight gun. It's ready to throw on the optic of your choice, and it will very much do the job for you. So if you're an AR fanboy and you're looking to get into the 308, this gun is definitely worth a look if you can find one. And like I said, keep your eyes out. And if you find more than one, make sure you let me know and I'll buy the other one. So anyway, that's it from here. We'll make this as a short video. And I thank you all very much. Go Patriots, and I'll see you at the range.